good. After doing this session, I forgot Barrera. Today on Tender Seeds Therapy Stories and Video Cine, I will be discussing what it is, the pattern that you have in your mind versus the pattern that's created in society. Sometimes we think about the notion of our own mindset, notions we have upon belief system, upon how we grew up, and sometimes it's a dynamic of our mind, of our being. Right here, we can also think of our cultural heritage, origin, and how we connect the specific moments. Some people will say, I grew up in a household that's very French, or some very English, and some very Spanish, and some very Arabic. Some, if they're in cinema, can recall if they grew up in making movies as Arab in Spain and France. Some might be an Asian, and you grew up watching movies that are American, and then you came to America, to the United States, or to Canada being very much different. Whichever way how you grew up, it does play on yourself. Now, lately I've been doing an exercise on saying many truths, and they're very ugly truths. So I've been saying things that if people would hear me, they wouldn't like it. But you have to hear me on this. A lot of people do feel that they're nourished by their origin, and some people are very much diminished or embarrassed. If you're on the second group, I do encourage you to do therapies or to actually reassess your own judgment of your own background. Meaning some people, yes, have harmed others. Yes, some people don't make sense. I've said it for myself. I come from an origin that's very Hispanic. I have other origin with whom I have a disconnection because I don't approve specific. And because I don't approve specific, I've always aligned myself to be very much inclined to be different from what they believe in or what they do or what tools they use to develop their businesses, their life, their religious system, or their religious implication and how they put it on themselves and others without being too disrespectful. Obviously, if I'm doing a rap video, I would say bad words, or I can do if it's a rap video. But if it's an actual truth and there's other people, you have to really know how you address this. So if you're going through this, kindly do acknowledge that your level of input into this really must be regarded for the best of outcome that it is, the best outcome that you want. I often think of my parents. My parents, I was very proud of themselves. Some people, perhaps studio owners, perhaps owners, might like specific things, and then when they think of them, some people might remember, some people might know them, some not. They don't know them. Might state that they really didn't like specific things because they were too Hispanic or they believed too much. I remember one man as an owner always saying, women that lie too much or they keep too much specific information, I don't like that. Well, I can think of my mother in a specific way, but here I'm not going to be discussing too much. But I can say that for me, I always respected, I was very proud of specific things, and there was moments where I knew I wasn't like them, right? I wasn't, and I would never be like them because that's how life is supposed to be. So I don't want people to feel very much distraught or uncomfortable because it's supposed to make logic come around. So if that's your origin, wherever your origin is, and we have people that work in the industry of cinema, we have people that work in the industry of media, we have people in medicine, we have people in baseball, you have people that really don't need baseball, right? They don't invest there, so they're like, I wouldn't invest there, I don't need that. That's perfectly fine. I'm just saying in terms of business or in terms of life, whatever it is that you put out there, and if you've been, not comfortable in your own heritage or in your own culture, in your own origin, then it's always good to address it. I've never gone through that. I remember being very much Hispanic. My parents, I grew up in an English household, so my parents always geared that I understood and I learned English. I remember even thinking maybe I shouldn't be too much North American. And it was very much the opposite. If they would come to be surrounded by Hispanic, they would always say, but she's still North American. because it was my truth, right? You have to keep a sense of truth. So it's not wrong in your own dynamic of your being. So if you're going through that phase, if you're not comfortable, I really do ask people to reassess their lives. In this pattern, we see this in society. Throughout society, you have people that have fought among themselves because of that. They have that sense of pride and that sense of commitment towards whom they are, but they omit the pureness of what is their work, their businesses, which I do in my private practice, and also the commitment to how it goes. The same goes for privacy. I remember when I was working, a lot of people were not very thoughtful. And then there was people that were very, very thoughtful. So you have people that talk on marriage, you have people that talk on cultural backgrounds, and they all make sense. They all use good logic, and people love it. So whenever that happens, that's good. Whenever it doesn't happen and people want to kind of put somebody else and they put a competition, or there's no competition, but it's just work, people have to align themselves towards doing what's right and what's their work, committing to that. So I wish people can understand that in myself as myself, and in others it might be different because their names are done differently. So my name, it was done this way. My story is very different from many, many other stories. So we should need to acknowledge that. On sexuality, if people would think that I go around with every person, specific wealthy men were put so I would go out with them. But it doesn't mean I went and I dated and it was all wrong. What people do is what people do. What I have is that clients pay. So people coming around and harassing me, and this is what I stated a few months ago, talking to a business person. I can put restaurants. If I go to a small city and I'm trying to think of any business, anybody who's trying to come to my area of work and thinking that they have a bar or restaurant and they have barmaids or waiters coming and harassing, or they put polices, all of them have restriction. First, you're not part of this crew. Second, you're supposed to be respectful that you are not part of my family or a crew member. And third, work is work and her commitment is her commitment. If I would date somebody, that's one thing. But if you bothered, you bothered. So kindly do acknowledge that, because it is part of this also. It has happened in the past, and I'm talking about specific, and it's business oriented. And of course, I'm a woman, but you have to use better logic. So do address that also in your origin, right? A lot of people, they're specific Hispanic. A few years ago, the French were very much against Hispanic. I received a lot of notes. Well, some of them were working in Hollywood. Some of them took our money, and some must commit to giving me my money because it's not theirs. So kindly do acknowledge very much a lot of specific. Do acknowledge that I'm not supposed to be uncanny, but what I'm exposing is enough so it uses logic. So my work is sustained, so I'm who I am. If you look at all my journey, it's a very, very, very tedious road that I've had. So if people want that, trust me, you're in for a long ride. I started very early and I made sure that I made things happen. And I do say this because it matters to me. And also in memory that in this year of 2024, one of my purposes and one of my truths was that I was supposed to have a daughter, a baby girl. It was all planned by me, and I don't have her. So given that, I have a loving memory that I do commit to always having a sense of truth, to always having a sense of what I do, and that what people say and believe is very much their own thoughts, and I keep my own. So wishing you have a good day, thinking bye-bye.